Hey, LJ here, and I wanted to jump on and share with you because I'm having a topic that came up and I got myself to even write down, so I might even employ that this time, which I don't usually. But hi. So this is about this idea that you might like or you might hate. But if we were to say high vibe health, like what would that look like? And if we're interested in vibration and we think we like the idea of being high vibe, quote unquote, how does that play out in our health? Or what does that mean with our health? And what kind of choices might that entail? And what sort of mindset might that entail? So, yeah, high vibe health. And so I found myself coming up with, I guess I have 9. Yeah, again, this is kind of weird that I wrote this down in advance because I don't usually do this. But I wanted to share it here because I feel like it's my current understanding of maybe lessons from yoga and meditation on how we might consider something like high vibe health. And so, yeah, here's what I came up with. I'm going to get my piece of paper down here because it feels weird to look up. I even want to show it to you, see? So the first one is that, yeah, I get from the world of yoga and meditation and other schools of thought that, first of all, we can remember and keep really getting that it's all energy. So that's the first one, right? To keep remembering, keep getting into the fact, the idea, the concept that it's all energy, right? So that means what's happening in our bodies, right, is all energy. Like we could start to see that everything that we're feeling, every symptom, every organ, every cell is all made of energy, right? And if there are things that are happening with certain parts of the body, then we can start to understand it all as energy, right? And even indicators of what's happening energetically. Bringing in that yoga non-judgment, that's not on the list, but that's part of the high vibe health for sure, is bringing in our non-judgment as we start to have this conversation already, right? With whatever is true with our health, whatever is true with how we've been handling it. And yeah, so that's the yoga flip right away. Let's bring that in, that we want to look at this, think about this, consider this, meditate on this from a place of non-judgment and even more like self-love, which would right away make this more of a yoga-like, connecting-like experience, right? So let's invite that in right away. So yeah, it's all energy. First concept, that if we're thinking about high vibe health, we can start to remember it's all energy. And so whether we're talking about our physical health or our mental health, right, or even our spiritual health, if we like that concept, to just remember that it's all energy. So we could start to see right away what I really learned from things like yoga and meditation is that we can start to learn that we have ways we can manage our energy, right? And even let go of stuck energy, which we could even say old trauma from the past. We also know now more than ever that we're always picking up other people's energy, right? Probably. Some of us more than others, maybe. Some of us feel it more than others. Some of us are aware of it more than others, but that's probably true for most of us. So when we start to see it's all energy and we're interested in high vibe health, we could start to get into the power of doing some things to manage our energy, right? And that can be all sorts of ways that we could do this energy sort of work lifestyle with ourselves, right? I love to see that all the tools of yoga are tools of energy medicine that we use with ourselves, whether it's the poses or the breath or use of imagination or journaling or walking or dancing or making of any sort of creative thing. All of those are energy ways that we can tune ourselves, right? So yeah, first concept of high vibe health is it's all energy. And so then second one is then, yeah, as I started to say already, number two then means we start to employ the energy medicine of things like yoga and meditation. And even things like knowing that thoughts, for instance, we now know how much thoughts are affecting our health and our bodies, right? Most of us are aware of that on some level now. And so we can start to see with our practices that it's a chance to check out more how we are using thoughts, what we are thinking about, and how that's playing into our current health, right? And building in more practices to tune that up, maybe, right? Which may be journaling, which may be just sitting on a meditation pillow, which some of it also may be involved more like crying, things like that, right? As we're getting into the awareness, but in which that's another energy tool, right? Crying or laughing. So it's all energy. And then we can start to then remember, wow, so I can start to really employ energy tools with myself, knowing it's all energy. And that's going to be part of having higher vibe health, which some of these later ones will get us thinking about and looking at, well, what do we mean by higher vibe health, right? Does it mean higher frequency, or higher vibe just feeling better, or maybe even, where it's like this exclusive thing, like only on the high vibe, which that playful thought might be that, yeah, maybe when we're on a higher vibe, we're less likely to rendezvous with an illness, would be one part of that. Or an injury, maybe even. So various levels of what we could mean by this higher vibe health, right, or high vibe health. But yeah, first of all, it's remembering and really owning that it's all energy. We're made of energy. And so, yeah, then we start to see, wow, it becomes powerful if I start to do things more like every day to manage my energy, to tune my energy more towards a higher vibe, right? Which on the various ways that's going to play out, which those will come up next. So next, yeah, then we can start to see number three, that we can start to read that our feelings are an indicator of our vibe, right? How we're feeling. So whether that's how we're feeling in our body, how we're feeling in our emotions, how we're feeling energy-wise, various ways, is we start to get the concept that that's an indicator of what vibration we're in or even transmitting, right? So if we're feeling bad emotionally or physically, it's an indicator about our vibration. It's also an indicator about energy, right? About how energy may be flowing or not flowing, or if we have some stuck energy or we've picked up other people's energy. But we start to read that those feelings are an indicator, and with our non-judgment, an indicator of our current vibration, right? So that's part of the lesson that we start to build in, that we start to realize that our feelings are guidance about our vibration, even symptoms in the body, in our health, are guidance indicators of vibrationally what's been happening for us. And even sometimes that may be how we've been focusing, right? So, yeah, or how we have or haven't been managing our energy or tuning ourselves, and what we have been tuning ourselves to, right? Like if we've really been tuning ourselves to feeling really angry, for instance, or upset or scared, that starts to get us into that vibration. So that goes both ways then, that we start to see that how we feel influences our vibration, and then our vibration, we can also know more about what vibration we're in by how we feel. So that's where, again, you start to see, wow, part of the lessons of yoga and meditation is to realize that my feelings are guidance about my vibe. My symptoms are guidance about vibrationally what's been happening with me and how I'm flowing and not flowing, my vibrational energy even, right? For instance. So yeah, bringing in those lessons, symptoms as guidance, feelings as the indicator of our vibe. And then, yeah, next lesson would be then that we start to get that feeling better then generally equals vibration raising. So that's where we start to see that anything we can do that helps us feel better is going to be part of helping us get in a higher vibration, right? So that's where we could see that having higher vibe health would mean doing more things to keep us feeling better. And that, again, may be super unique to you, like what really tunes you in those ways, but starting to see you're tuning yourself vibrationally towards feeling better with things that make you feel better, and that's going to help you be more in a higher vibration, which is going to be part of high vibe health, right? And then, but even in that high vibe health, It means you're listening to your body too. And if you're, for instance, if you're tired, you're listening to that as guidance from your body, like, oh, maybe I should rest, right? Or maybe I could do something that could really replenish me. And that's where, there's a lot of great tools like that in things like yoga too, that sometimes there's things we can do that are even more restful than a nap, even though naps can be rad if that works for you. But some people, I think, feel tired and they're like, I try resting traditionally and it doesn't work. So, so it includes that being more gentle and listening to the body. But starting to see there's a momentum to how we're feeling, and that you can start to see now the dailiness thing starts to make even more sense when we're seeing it vibrationally and staying on top of the momentum of our vibration for our health on various levels, right? So feeling better equals higher vibration. And then even getting to see that, like, knowing that something like relaxing then is such a great way to even raise our vibration. And even if we start to remember where we're made of energy, and it's all energy, and since relaxing also goes with feeling better generally, that simple as that, anything we can do to relax ourselves is going to help us raise our vibration, right? And the more that we can do to keep helping ourselves feel more relaxed in general, if that's just, we're talking about the physical sensations of it, that's just one specific way, an example, an indicator even of our vibration and how we can manage it too, right? And help it. And then again, the bonus of tools like yoga or traditions like yoga is we learn more things that help us relax. If like just deciding to relax doesn't really work that much for us, then we start to learn more ways. Oh yeah, I know now these breath things that help me relax, or this pose that helps me relax, or this visualization that helps me relax, or that I know to use sound and music to help me relax, or that nature or my stones and rocks or whatever, your essential oils, things like that can be such a neat part of your yoga lifestyle too, right? Okay, so relaxing equals more flowing, more allowing, more ease, more wellness, more part of that high vibe. So high vibe health includes just being in a lifestyle maybe as much as we can that helps us feel and flow and embody a little bit more of a relaxed approach in general, right? So again, if you're new to I seldom write down what I'm going to say here, but I had this idea coming through about high vibe health, and I realized I have I turned out with 10 pieces of it that I see. So I went ahead and made little notes of each one, and we'll see, maybe this is supposed to turn into a book or something. Okay, so where are we? So we had it's all energy. That helps us start to understand high vibe health, to remember that. We can start to employ the energy medicine then of all these tools that help us manage our energy. That's part of what we get from yoga and meditation, and especially in thinking of something like a high vibe health, that we're just remembering it's all energy. I'm made of energy. My body's energy. My thoughts are energy. My feelings are energy. My life is energy. So the more I can do to manage my energy, the higher vibe, the more I can tune even towards that higher vibration, right? Which we now know goes with feeling better, right? And goes with feeling more connected too, right? With ourselves, with the spiritual sense that we like. If we feel like there is a God, then it is about reconnecting with your feelings of that, or if you like feeling connected to the universe, or your heart or your soul. That's all part of higher vibration too, which I think is one of the later ones. I don't want to mix it up too much because I had some flow here. But the next step that we get from yoga and meditation with high vibe health that now we all know as part of it is starting to know attention, awareness, and focus matter, right? And we can totally, for instance, make ourselves healthier or more sick just even in what we're putting our attention on, right? And what we're focusing on and how our awareness is going. So that's part of what we get from these traditions, is to get into honing our attention more, using our attention more wisely, knowing that whatever we put our attention on grows, right? Getting into awareness more tools that help us build our awareness, grow our awareness. That non-judgment's helpful in all that. And that focus matters too. And then we can really start to play with focus in a way that helps us, right? That's going to be part of more like high vibe health. And that really comes up when we have symptoms, that sometimes it does become about who do we listen to. Because we might get one diagnosis from someone that may be super limiting, and then we might end up getting another, though, suggestion that is totally the opposite. I mean, it's going to be up to us what we're going to decide these days often with some of those things. So that's where focus matters, attention, and kind of deciding which direction you're pointing with your imagination, right? And how that's going to be part of high vibe health, too. If we're always imagining, too, things just getting worse, then unfortunately we're more likely to make things worse. We now know. It is a powerful tool. So we want to just at least be taking an eye on how we're using things like our attention, awareness, and focus as part of high vibe health. And that's some of what we get to do, though, in our time in the journal, in our time on the meditation pillow, in our time on the nature walk, in our time on the mat, is just get a chance to check out how's our attention going, how's the awareness, kind of retraining it, reframing it, re-choosing it, redirecting it is a yogi thing to do. Because and now we know high vibe health means getting back into some of even those perspectives, right, which is going to come up later, or even now, if it's a spiritual thing, reconnect even with your spiritual views on your health and the symptom and what's possible, right, and healing, which may transcend what your doctor said, right, if you want. So attention, awareness, and focus matter. And then, that also aligned actions do seem to be key, right, which includes, like, what we're doing with ourselves, with our bodies, right? And sure, it may involve some sorts of movement or exercises or use of poses, but also enough stillness and rest, right? And then for sure, like what we're putting in our bodies is probably important, right? If at the very least, gravitating more towards what we notice helps us feel better, and just reading it as an indicator. If we notice a food, for instance, doesn't seem to make us feel good, then maybe just kind of easing away from that. That's about as much as I would preach on the food thing, because that's something I'm still growing in myself. But and then of course what we're doing with our actions, with what we're doing in our days, and what we are reading and what we are listening to and who we are with is all going to be part of our vibe and what's possible as far as how our high vibe health might go, right? And especially if we are trying to shift a health condition, and we like this idea of high vibe, it seems like most of us usually have at least some health condition we're trying to shift, right? So, it really does become about our attention and our awareness and our focus, and even what we're filling ourselves up on and how we're looking at it, right, is going to dictate what's possible. So higher vibe health, I would say, includes choosing that and really filling up on what feels like the most leading edge to you, and that really inspires you towards how you do really want to be with your health, for instance, right? And knowing that's actually going to make you healthier too. The more you can be like courageous and strong about it, it actually does like strengthen immunity. And because now we know, like, unfortunately, the fear, the worry that most of us might get if we get some diagnosis, right? The opposite of relaxed. So unfortunately, it probably does weaken us and actually make us more likely to have the less pleasant path with those symptoms even. So it like starts to become like, oh shit, I gotta like be wise with how I'm using my attention and my focus if I'm having symptoms that I want to shift, because it could go either way, right? We start to see we could create like heaven or hell, right? With our health is just one place that a lot of us get the chance to visit that. So that's all the traditions talk about how we always have those two forces we could align with. So that's where, attention, awareness, focus matters with how high vibe our health is going to be. And that too, like if we're really focused on how terrible the world is and how scary it is out there, how is that feeling in the body? Versus spending time, if you also sometimes think there's a God and everything's okay and you like to have faith, like how different is that on your body and your mind and your feelings? So that's where it's about aligning to, like choosing to do things that help you connect more with those perspectives that you do like, and just really getting yourself in that a lot more, because that's going to be part of that high vibe health, right? Like if you really feel like you're like a being of God, then you probably are going to think differently and feel differently and be different in your body, right? Much less how you take care of it as this like energetic instrument as you now start to understand it as such. And even develop your relationship with it more, right? And just decide to be in it more, right? And this is all just part of health, right? Like health certainly can involve like mental health too, which is just as important and just as intense. But I'm just as excited about how we can be in higher vibe with that too, because how important it is, attention, awareness, focus, even actions, right, of doing the things that tune us to the vibration that is more spiritual, does feel better, is more aligned with who we are and how we want to be. That's all going to be part of that higher vibe health in general, right? The good mood and the good feeling body. Yeah, so let's see, we got just a couple more on this list that I actually made of what I realized are like the lessons from yoga and meditation on high vibe health. Like, what does that mean and how would that look? How do you do that, right? So then it starts to become about upgrading your mindset, right? Like we were just talking about, and integrating some of the psychology of yoga. I like to really share. And even one of my favorite scholarly teachers on yoga says that yoga is more a system of psychology than anything. So you can start to see that as far as high vibe health, that the psychology that we're in is going to affect our health, right? And what's possible, mental health and physical health. So that's a yogi thing to do, is to kind of be keeping an eye on what psychology we're in, right? Like what beliefs we're aligning with, how the mind is going. And that's where even these practices, the fact that they quiet the mind or help us play with quieting the mind, even for a few seconds at a time, is super helpful in just giving us a chance to get more clear on what's actually happening in the mind, so that we can kind of choose again and even fill it up differently and use it differently. But also super powerful and refreshing to actually quiet it and stop it, even if it's just like for a second, and can even change the momentum and maybe help us be more likely to get into an even different flow of thinking, like the vibe. And then as we're doing other things to shift our vibration, like poses, like a walk, like dancing, like listening to music, like journaling, to connect ourselves, that even just the vibe of the thoughts can start to raise and change and just generally get better. But the quieting helps with that too. And I'd like to just point out what I've learned about the whole quieting thing, because I think it's such a fascinating part of what we hear about. But I feel like I'm still understanding what's really possible and what do we mean. And is it even really possible to completely silence your mind for very long? So, but part of the possibilities in play with just trying out doing it for a few seconds at a time as part of your high vibe health life is, it's also, where a lot of us would say then we can even do more of that spiritual reconnecting. And maybe in that quieting, you're even more just like listening to God or spirit or Jesus or your heart or your soul or the universe or your angels or your spirit team or whatever you call it. And, okay, I didn't even realize how important this is. Because, right, part of what's happening the more that we're doing that, which we could say is kind of the ultimate goal of our yoga, right? Is that like spiritual connection, that magic of our really tuning into ourselves or life or whatever parts of life we're calling it, so that we can even get those great ideas and the inspiration and the realizations and the feelings of connection, right? And then what we can create from there in the world. So that's a good reason to do the quieting, because then we're more likely to be ready to hear and connect with the spiritual feelings, the spiritual insights, the ideas, the inspiration. I felt that in my body about that one. So, here's why. Because how much of our health stuff has to do with when we're not following those inspirations or not hearing them, right? And often, that's where the blessing of our symptoms often is what'll get us to finally sit down, shut up, and listen, right? Or slow down enough to do more of that listening to hear that, to maybe move into the direction we're even meant to in our lives, right? So maybe high vibe health is about that, like having a lifestyle that we're in our flow of spiritual connection, so we're in our creativity, plays out in higher vibe health, right? And that then we can even see, like, ooh, when I have a symptom, it's often my body telling me something helpful. And it's often very interestingly, like, right on, right? How it's this input. So that's where the non-judgment helps. And we can just say, thank you, body, for redirecting me, for reminding me, and getting me to, create more space and time to reconnect and see it all as energy and get back to feeling better, right? And taking care of my vibe. And that's all going to be part of that high vibe health and even healing, right? So, okay, where else do we need to go? Not much more on my list. The psychology of yoga. So yeah, getting now to like number 9, a more connected perspective then as the thing, right? That we could say we're going for with all this yoga stuff. Which may mean like, oh yeah, the universe always has my back. Right? I love that line. I got that one from Gabby Bernstein lately, and I think it's a good one for a lot of us, especially if the word God is weird for you. Or if you like God, just like God's always taking care of me, whatever it is. Like basically, yeah, whatever gets you back in that frame of mind. Now we're talking, right? Like higher vibe health, on all levels, when you're really in that framework, especially if that's what you want, the more that you're doing to get yourself there each day, the more that you're getting yourself to where you're actually thinking like that, responding like that with the people in your life. If you're always like, oh yeah, they're a brother of God too, and I love them, right? It's like spiritual health, right? Everything is going to change so much. So yeah, that we can see the more connected perspective that we're going for and getting is going to be part of what's translating into this higher vibe health, which is going to go with feeling better, right? And even maybe things flowing better in our lives, right? And even us manifesting more what we want, right? Because we're always manifesting, but maybe manifesting more just what we want. Okay, and then last one on this high vibe health list that I found myself making today. Well, it's kind of where I was just starting to go, is again, if we love the idea of God or the universe or spirit, or that we are infinite beings, that you, the more that you really are in that feeling, like, and doing some things maybe each day to get you in that feeling. And maybe that's where it's like if reading the Bible does it for you. I love to remind my friends who love the Bible that can totally be part of their yoga. Like if they know they love to read scriptures each day, you can imagine how much different your health is, for instance, when you're doing that, because that's helping you get in that even more spiritual vibration, maybe, to be like, oh yeah, that's how I want to feel. That's how I want to focus. That's how I want to be. That's what I want to embody. That is all energy and vibration, right? And you could even say the vibration of God or spirit, right? You're like getting yourself in that vibration. So that's some high vibe health, right? So yeah, that's where I really love to help us remember. That's why to call something yoga, it doesn't have to involve a pose, because you can see if it's about reconnecting with God, if that's how you like to call it, God within yourself or God in life, then it may or may not happen on a mat, right? But it's cool to see how time on the mat can be a place to do that if you find that interesting. And then, yeah, those poses can be a great way to manage ourselves as energy, because remember, that was lesson 1, is that it's all energy, even if it is all God energy, right? That we can do things to manage that energy, to tune that energy, and even things like awareness, attention, and focus are part of that too, right? So yes, those are the 10. It's all energy. Employ the energy medicine then of yoga and meditation. We can see our feelings as an indicator of our vibe and symptoms as guidance, right? We can know that relaxing generally is one of the specific way to just know we can help raise our vibe and help things like flow more in like allowing and ease and well-being. So as simple as that, just practicing relaxing or doing anything that does that for us is a super simple way that we can just ease towards higher vibe health, right? Attention, awareness, and focus matter. Aligned actions are key. Like, maybe doing some things each day to tune ourselves, or being aware of what we're filling ourselves up with, or things that are part of our vibration, right, and how we're feeling. And then to be upgrading our mindset, integrating the psychology of yoga more, a more connected psychology, right? And that a more connected perspective is what we're really going for. And that the higher vibe even equals more spiritual vibe. So that's fun too, to feel like the more that you're tuning yourself to your like spiritual self, spiritual knowing, spiritual feelings, that's going to be part of that high vibe health, right? But also, yes, physiologically now we know all the organs, everything functions better when it gets managed more like energy and tuned more every day. And bottom line is if you haven't noticed, this is all stuff you can do for you, to you, and that it's all going to translate into you feeling better, right? And that we can really start to know that the better we feel, the higher our vibe. So feeling better equals raising our vibration. And so higher vibe health is going to go with feeling better. So even to do something like a is a way to like instantly raise our vibe, right? But that's kind of the direction we're going, is embracing all those elements as part of high vibe health. And yeah, hopefully being empowered by that. So that, yeah, we can even explore what's possible, even if we do have a diagnosis, even if we are having severe symptoms, that we can know that as we align more with what gets us even feeling relief, is going to be part of the answer for us, right? So, yes. So if I can help you at all, please let me know. I'm always happy to even just have a conversation to talk about some of the ways you might start to use some more yoga therapy tools. And yeah, I'm just excited to see, what's possible, share what's possible, and even in these ideas of high vibe health. So thanks for listening, and love you guys. Namaste.